وسهلا بكل الذين ينضموا للاستماع إلى راديو بلدي أول راديو عربي أمريكي ويعنى بقضايا العرب في المهجر. برامجنا في راديو بلدي كل يوم جمعة من 8 وحتى 9 صباحا مع ليلى الحسيني في بث حي ومباشر عبر WNZK راديو 690 AM. صباح الخير بلدي، صباح الخير لكل مستمعينا.
Welcome to Radio Baladi, the first Arab, Middle Eastern, and American simulcast radio show. Radio Baladi is broadcast every Friday morning on WNZK 690 AM from 8 until 9 Eastern Time on Good Morning Michigan with Layla Al-Husseini. Our call-in number 248-557-3300. And now, stay tuned for the best radio talk show on Arab and American issues with your host, Layla Al-Husseini.
Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, September 11, 2020, 19 years after the terrorist attacks that changed the face of America and the world. I'm Ray Hanania, special U.S. correspondent for the Arab News newspaper, and you're listening to the Arab Street Radio, Radio Baladi, radio and podcast, broadcast from Detroit on U.S. Arab Media through 690 AM WNZK Live Radio. In the future, I'd like to be introduced by my Game of Thrones title, Ray Hanania, the first of his name, the mayor, slayer, breaker of political egos, father of wags, the one true believer of Steppenwolf and Jimi Hendrix, spirit of Jerusalem, and scribe of the 4 high schools, Bowen, Bogan, Little Flower, and Revis. Those would be my sigils. The flags of Bowen, Bogan, Little Flower, and Revis. That's what I'll do. The Arab Street Radio and Podcast is part of the U.S. Arab Radio Network, hosted by Layla Al-Husseini in an effort to energize and empower Arab Americans to stand up for their rights. For more information, go to my website at hanania.com. Or afterwards, you can check out the podcast of this radio show on iTunes, Spotify, or by visiting my podcast website, thearabstreet.org. We're broadcasting live on radio in Michigan on WNZK AM 690 this morning, 8 a.m. in Detroit, 7 a.m. in Chicago, 3 p.m. in Israeli-occupied Jerusalem, and 4 p.m. in Dubai. Our radio show call-in number, if you want to call in, is 248-557-3300. And before I tell you our topic again, we're doing an experiment. We're broadcasting on Zoom. So if you go to my Facebook page or Twitter, you'll find the Zoom link so that you can watch on Zoom, or you can go to my Facebook page, RG Hanania, and watch live on Facebook. So we're on Facebook and Zoom. I had a little technical issue there by accident when I tried to load up Facebook and Zoom on my computer. So Mike probably was hearing, like, where are these two sounds coming from? An echo from the radio station. So I shut down the Facebook on my laptop and put it on my cell phone. So Mike probably was hearing, like, where are these two sounds hearing. How do I stop that? There it goes. The radio station. No, oh, there it is. Oh, I can't. Too much technology here. I can't figure it out. It's one person. You can't be the radio host, the producer, the technology guy, and everything. But Mike, thank you so much for hooking us up. I'm assuming everything sounds good on your end through Zoom. Very clear. All right. Yeah. See, now we even got the chat board up so I can read everything he says. So that works. Facebook is working because I got people want to say hi to Melissa Hussein Fayed. You know, I always see your name, Melissa, but I never actually articulate it. Fayed. It's been years. since we met, right? When I was doing my comedy show. So let's see. There's Layla Al-Husseini, but see, I don't want to. How do I shut this down? All right. It's been years. It's really there. I don't know. I want to just write the comments. I want to see them. Anyway, I'm going to have to figure that out. So if I'm slow on Facebook responding, I apologize. That's going to be rough because for some reason it goes live. Wait, let's just turn the volume all the way down. And I got 9 comments. All right, Jeff Davis. All right. Ilan Leibowitz from Israel. Thank you, Ilan, for hooking on. Bilal Bader, nice to see you. Peter Thanos. Najim Hassan Abu Amir, Najam Hassan Najim, is the president of the American Arab Chamber of Commerce in Chicago. And thanks to his organization, they were able to get the Chicago City Council to change an ordinance that would have shut down all the hookah lounges in Chicago by accident. They were going to ban flavored tobacco sales and use, which would have shut down every hookah joint in the Chicago city of Chicago, and that would have become the bar for what they would have done in all the suburbs and eventually the Midwest. So he spoke up, explained what they were doing, and the city council adjusted the law to allow hookah lounges to sell flavored tobacco. So good job, Hassan Najim of the American Arab Chamber of Commerce. And yes, Melissa Hussein Fayed, like Boston Yad, Fayed. Paul Schoenwetter is watching. Nice to see you, Paul. I appreciate it. So we'll get a nice group of people on Facebook watching. It's on Zoom. Zoom broadcasts to Facebook. The Zoom program allows me to have 100 people watching live all over the world, but you could do it on Facebook. Why would you want to have the webinar? Or maybe you have to have the web, which I do have. Maybe you have to have the webinar to broadcast on Facebook. It's too complicated. There's too much stuff. It's really too much stuff. But this isn't complicated. Our topic today, September 11, 2020, 19 years after the terrorist attacks. You can call me at 248-557-3300 and tell me, where were you? Because that's a moment we remember, right? Like the Kennedy assassination, I remember exactly where I was. If you're old enough, you remember where you were. And September 11th is another one that we remember. Elvis Shahada, thank you, Elvis, for joining the Facebook. You the man. And let's see. So, September 11th, there were more than almost 24 Arabs and Muslims who were killed after September 11th that very few people talk about. And, I've been trying for 19 years to get the Arab community on top of this, to get the human rights community here in the U.S. to deal with it. The September 11th Commission doesn't listen to us. We're Arab. They treat us really badly. And, I know it's like, why am I whining? But the truth is that, all we're asking for is to be treated just like everybody else. I'm an American, right? I served during the Vietnam War. I served in the U.S. military. So don't call me un-American just because I want to criticize U.S. foreign, policy and U.S. American policy. Ray Hanania Shawan, nice to see you. Thank you for watching on Facebook. A lot of people, that's very cool. But there were so many Arabs and Muslims who were killed. And when I say Arabs, I'm talking about Christian Arabs that were killed because Americans thought that they were Al-Qaeda just because we looked Middle Eastern. In fact, there were a lot of people who weren't even Arab who were attacked and killed in the weeks and months after September 11th. And I'm going to read their names off, okay? Vasudev Patel, he was killed, 49-year-old Indian and father of two, in Mesquite, Texas. Waqar Hassan, 46-year-old Pakistani and father of four, was killed while cooking hamburgers at his grocery store near Dallas, Texas. Ali Al-Mansoup, killed September 17th, 2001. 44-year-old Yemeni Arab American was shot in his home in Lincoln Park, Michigan, after being awoken from his sleep by the killer. Abdul Ali Ahmed, September 29, 2001, 51-year-old Yemeni Arab and Muslim father of 8, was shot and killed while working at his convenience store in Redley, California. Adel Karas, September 15, 2001, 48-year-old Arab and Coptic Christian and father of 3, was shot and killed at his convenience store in San Gabriel, California. And by the way, each of these people, the killers, the suspects, the people who were, some were convicted, some were suspects, each of them admitted that they did it because they thought their victim was somehow involved with September 11th. Ali W. Ali, 66-year-old Somali Muslim, died 9 days after being punched in the head while standing at a bus stop in Minneapolis, Minnesota on October 15, 2002. This is over a year after September 11th. The list goes on and on. All these people that were victims of assault, 289 reports, just from one organization, one area. There's people that were attacked. Listen, I wasn't attacked because every time somebody comes up and says something to me like, "Oh, why did you attack America?" I go, "Hey, buddy, I served in the military. Okay, I'm an American. I was born in this country. Just because I disagree with the government doesn't mean I support September 11th. Just because I'm Arab doesn't mean that I support these terrorists. The majority, 99% of the Arabs are good people. There are a few fanatics. Like every group has fanatics. Black Lives Matter has fanatics. The Republican Party has fanatics. The Democratic Party has fanatics. There are criminals everywhere. You can't you can't denounce stereotyping and then go out and stereotype people. So, that's interesting to me. So, for those people who are here the first time, Mark J. Powell, thank you very much for joining. Pete Sullivan, also thank you so much. Layla Al-Husseini, the queen of American news media. She's watching too. Layla, thank you so much for joining us. Let's see, Mark was telling me that he was the chief of staff for the associate House Speaker at the Michigan House of Representatives. And he was at his desk at the House Office Building. He watched the second jet slam into the second building. Such sadness because I knew then America would change that day, and it did. Now, 19 years later, troops still in Iraq and Afghanistan on 9/11/2020. Yes, that's a good observation, Mark. We've never gotten out of this conflict. I read these reports about how the Pentagon and the military-industrial complex was complaining about how their budget was over $2.3 trillion below what they needed. The day before, they had a press conference at the Pentagon announcing that they were in a budget crisis. And, of course, September 11th happened. Now, I don't get along with these people, these conspiracy people who say that September 11th was an American, thing. I think that's crazy. But I do believe that the Pentagon and the military took advantage of this, maybe rightly so, but they wiped out that deficit, that $2.3 trillion or whatever it was. It was huge. It was a huge amount of money that they needed. Our number is 248-557-3300 if you want to call. I remember on September 11th, I was driving in my car going to work. It was like 7:48, and I heard over WBEZ radio in Chicago, the public radio station, that they said we just got reports that a small aircraft hit the World Trade Center. And honestly, God, the first thing out of my mouth is, "Oh God, I hope it wasn't an Arab because they're going to kill us. They're going to go after Arab Americans like crazy." And I'm sitting in the car. I remember I got a call from a friend of mine while I was in the car saying that it wasn't, that now the reports are that it was a commercial airline and that there was a second one that hit. And when I got to work, it was like people were screaming at me. A lot of good people, though. It's not everybody, but there were a few that, one of the bosses at the company where I work, why did you do this? What, me? I'm going, why did I do it? What the heck did you do for our country? Did you serve during the military? I always like to throw that in their face when they say, what did I do for America? Yeah, I served in the military, buddy, so shut the eek up. I won't even say the word. So they were like yelling at me, screaming at me, and then they put up American flags in front of my office, and I'm going, what is this? Why, just because I'm Arab? I had nothing to do with it. It was like this rage became racist. And that morning, on my way to work, before I got to the Stevenson, where I was listening to the radio station report, I had stopped at a gas station. And I wrote about this in one of my columns. there was a guy named Mohammed who was at the gas station. I think it was a Shell station in Bridgeview, Little Palestine, we call it, on Harlem and 100 and maybe 107th Street, near where Pete's Market is today. And the gas station's still there. And I remember going in there to get some Diet Coke, for the ride into work. It was a 45-minute ride. I had a Lincoln LS, which is a very cool car. I love that car. And I stopped there. I got gas. I went in, said hello to Muhammad. Muhammad said, hey, I knew your mom and dad. They were among some of the first settlers, Arab Americans, to come to Chicago. They were good people, and we had chatted. Everything was great. The next day, September 12th, when I stopped there, I asked one of the clerks, I said, where's Muhammad? They said, oh, some people came in and beat him up because of September 11th. This poor guy got beat up. He never came back to work. It was really very sad. And that really bothered me. And yeah, I get it. Some people get angry, but do you take your anger out by killing other people? I don't know. Listen, this is Ray Hanania here at WNZK AM 690 Radio on the Arab Street Radio and Podcast, broadcast from Detroit. I'm in Chicago. The station's in Detroit, and we are broadcasting on the internet also. There are links so you can listen online, but I think this Facebook thing really works. I'm shocked that it all came together. And we're going to be using Zoom now and Facebook to broadcast the radio show and get your comments. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them on Facebook. RG Hanania is my Facebook handle. So you can go there and check out that if you're not already there. Or you can call 248-557-3300. Again, it's Friday, September 11, 2020. We're talking about the September 11 terrorist attacks. 19 years after the terrorist attacks that changed the face of America and the world. And the forgotten victims, people who were killed because of September 11th, not during September 11th. They were singled out and murdered by criminals, Americans who were so upset they went out and murdered people that had nothing to do with September 11th. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we can take calls. We'll talk a little more about who these people were. We'll also talk about some things in the news. And we'll talk with anybody. If you have a question, put it on Facebook or call us at 248-557-3300. I'm Ray Hanania. We're going to be right back right after these messages.
Ziyad brand. Quality products from our family to yours. Ziyad Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Donna, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziyad.com. That's www.ziyad.com. Ziyad, quality products from our family to yours.
مركز طب رهاب للعلاج الطبيعي بإدارة الدكتور محمد فرح حسين، أخصائي العلاج الطبيعي بخبرة أكثر من 13 عاما. طب رهاب يقدم خدمات العلاج الطبيعي وإعادة التأهيل، ويضم مجموعة من أفضل أخصائي التشخيص الدقيق للحالات المرضية، مع خبرة عالية في التعامل مع الحالات التي تحتاج إلى إعادة تأهيل وعناية خاصة بعد العمليات والكسور. طب رهاب يستقبل كل الحالات المتعلقة بألم الرقبة، الظهر، المفاصل، شلل الوجه، الانزلاق الغضروفي، عرق النساء، الحوادث وإصابات العمل. خبيرات في المعالجة النسائية لخصوصيات تامة للسيدات. عندما تبحثون عن رعاية متميزة اقصدوا توب ريهاب للعلاج الطبيعي، الواقع على 15001 ميشيغان افنيو، وللمواعيد اتصلوا على 313-846-0555. That's 846-0555.
Kushat's Mediterranean Market and Shish Kebab offers a great array of your favorite Mediterranean meals. Meals range from lamb specialties, shawarma sandwiches, seafood dinners, and they offer special big trays of your favorite food, plus much more. Kushat's Mediterranean Market and Shish Kebab address is 32839 Northwestern Highway in Farmington Hills. Their phone number is 248-538-9552. That number again is 248-538-9552, and the supermarket is open from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Kashat's Mediterranean Market and shish kebab will definitely leave you satisfied.
And welcome back to the Arab Street Radio. I'm Ray Hanania. I always got to check that chat board so I know when the ads are done. And we want to thank all the sponsors, of course, to Layla Al Husseini's U.S. Arab Radio. U.S. Arab Radio broadcasts from 8 a.m. in Detroit to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. It's the only weekly radio show in the Arab American community. There are like 4.5 million Arabs in the United States, and 7 million Muslims. I think of the Arabs, about 75% of them are Christian Arabs. So a lot of people don't understand, because I remember after September 11th, it's like the whole world went upside down, went crazy. And I had a lady, little old lady, that came up to me, and because I had just given a presentation about Arabs in the United States, how American we are. And my dad and my uncle served during World War II on the side of the United States, okay? My dad was with the 5th Army, and the OSS, and Moses, my uncle, served on a battleship in the Atlantic for 4 years during World War II. They both enlisted after the attack on Pearl Harbor. That week after, they both went in. They both enlisted. When my uncle got up there to enlist, my dad had some education, so they put him in the OSS, and the Office of Strategic Services, because he was Middle Eastern too. And Moses wanted to serve with them in the 5th Army in Europe with my dad, but they said, no, a guy with the name Moses, we need you in the Navy to part the seas. So that's literally how he got assigned to the Navy. It wasn't a choice. They told him, you're going to the Navy. So he ended up on a battleship, Moses did, and he served there 4 years after Pearl Harbor. So I had this lady come up to me, and I was talking about all that to Americans, say, listen, you get mad at the terrorists. You don't get mad at stereotype people. You don't stereotype people. And I finished the speech, and this little old lady, she's probably like about in her late 60s, 70, white hair, real nice, came up, tapped me on the shoulder. I smiled, said, hey, thank you for coming, I appreciate it. And she kind of waved me over, and I leaned over to listen, and she goes, I can't believe you abandoned your Christian faith to become an Arab. And I'm sorry, I started laughing, and I just couldn't figure it out. I'm going, okay, I abandoned my Christian faith to become an Arab. I go, who learned you English? Where did you go to school? But I was nice. I said, hey, how do I answer that? So I started making jokes. And then about a month later, I went to Columbia College here in Chicago to give a presentation. And I was at the dinner, and these people said, so how's everything going? And I said, don't ask me. I said, I just had to go through 2 cavity searches just to get into the luncheon. You guys don't even know what it's like. I was being harassed, like, what are you doing here? Who got your ticket, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, wait a minute. I said, that's kind of, ridiculous. So that's when I started my stand-up comedy. I started doing stand-up comedy, and it actually took off until, when I got to Zanies, I did like 60 shows as a opener. First I was an opening act, and that's like 8 minutes. And then I became the second act, and I think they call it the feature act, and I was the feature act for like about 3 months. And then they said, hey, we're going to give you your own show. 9 shows, 1 whole week at Zanies downtown in Chicago. And I was all excited. And the first 3 shows, I sold out to all my relatives, all those Arabs. They come in handy, I'll tell you what, it helps to be an Arab when you're doing stand-up comedy, because you can fill 3 shows. And the other 6 shows were filled by FBI agents who were, pretending to be regular Americans. So it was almost, all 9 shows were almost all sold out. And the night of the first show, I was ready to leave about an hour and a half, 90 minutes before the show. I was getting ready to leave the house. Everybody was coming in there already, getting there early. You could drink, you could eat, I guess. And I get a call from the manager, Linda Moses was her name. She's really a nice person. She goes, I've never had to do this, but you can't open for Jackie Mason. Now, Jackie Mason had called and asked if he could do 3 shows in Chicago because he was going to open up a Broadway show. So Zanies thought, oh yeah, why don't we put the Jewish guy with the Arab guy? So they asked me, they said, Ray, do you mind if Jackie Mason opens there? He said, are you kidding? Of course, it'd be phenomenal. You know, the Aardvark, who wouldn't want the Aardvark opening for you, right? So I said, yeah, put Jackie Mason on. He'll be the headliner for my first 3 shows, and I'll be the feature act. And then when he leaves, I'll take over. That'd be great publicity for the show. I'll do that. So I'm ready to go. And then they call me and they go, well, Jackie Mason says that, you can't open for him because he heard you, he knew you were an Arab, but he didn't know you were Palestinian. And I go, I knew he was Jewish. I didn't care. So they canceled me, and that made international headlines. And that was like in Labor Day weekend, 2002. So we're talking, 17 years ago. 18 years ago. 18 years ago. And that story about Arab-Israeli conflict explodes on comedy stage in Chicago. It was the front page of the New York Times. It was the front page of the Wall Street Journal. It was the front page of the Urdu News in Islamabad in Pakistan. They were reading about it all over the world in the Middle East. Oh, it was unbelievable. And this guy kept attacking me, because he kept saying, I don't care. He's an Arab. I like Arabs. These Palestinians, he criticized Israel. Yeah, I criticized Israel because it's called free speech. I criticized governments. I criticized my own government. I criticized Jane Byrne. Nobody yelled at me or banned me. Oh, she did kick me at it. She did refuse to talk to me one time, and her husband threatened to punch me in the nose. Okay, let's see. Can you hear everybody? I don't think I did. I think it might be wrong. It's too much technology. Hopefully it might be wrong. Is it? And you're right, Melissa, he did. Oh, the sound is gone. Okay, what happened? Alright, Mike, let's take a quick break. Just in case, alright? And then we'll...
Are you going to start a restaurant or grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Najee Abood at 734-744-9796. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Najee Abood now, 734-744-9796. New Concept Products and Design, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. New Concept Products and Design, new location, 31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia. Learn more at www.newconceptproducts.com. Call Najee Abood, 734-744-9796.
إلي ساعة عم بستناك مشان نروح نتغدى بالشام.
الشام؟
ايه بالشام ومو بالشام.
شلون صارت هي؟
بدل ما نروح نتغدى بالشام
ايه
جابوا لنا الأكلات الشامية الطيبة لعنا لهم.
وشلون بقى؟
هذا مطعم دماس عم يعمل كل الأكلات الشامية الطيبة هو.
وطيبة؟
طيبة كتير.
شرفوا نتغدى سوا بمطعم دماس.
الأكل الشامي الأصيل فقط بدمسكوزين. زوروهم على 28841 أورشد ليك بفارمينغتون هيلز، ولطلباتكم اتصلوا على 248-987-4609. That's 248-987-4609. دمسكوزين and catering، جبنا لكم الشام لعندكم.
When you're looking for the best in optical care, Dr. Imad Nakash is your doctor to see. With years of experience and thousands of successful procedures performed, you can trust your eyes to Dr. Imad Nakash. See Dr. Imad Nakash and his professional staff for your eye care needs. There's 2 locations to serve you. In Hazel Park, call 248-336-3937. 248-336-3937. In Rochester Hills, call 248-299-3937. That's 248-299-3937.
Life is a nonprofit charity that's provided humanitarian aid and development to people and communities for over 25 years, regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background. When disaster occurs here or around the world, Life for Relief and Development rushes in to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. Please help improve these efforts. Make your tax-deductible donation to Life now at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493. Ready for an amazing experience at Ishtar Restaurant on 15 Mile Road in Sterling Heights. Enjoy excellent hospitality from owners Ali Al-Baghdadi and Fatty Bottom, serving the best in Mediterranean food. Try Chef Ali Al-Baghdadi's famous shawarma, the best Iraqi grills and food, and the best Arabic and international dishes. Dine in our authentic atmosphere or take out. Call 586-698-2585 or check us out on Facebook. Ishtar Restaurant practices all CDC guidelines and is open every day 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Have an amazing experience today at Ishtar Restaurant, 3625 15 Mile Road, Sterling Heights.
And welcome back to the Arab Street Radio, Radio Ballady. I'm Ray Hanania. We had a little mic issue there. I think we're okay now. All right. I don't know. I think, Mike, we're good. Hopefully.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, jeez. Technology. It was so simple when you can stand on a box in a parking lot in Times Square and talk to 30 people. Now you got all this technology. I can't touch anything. I'm like, okay, what went wrong? I don't know. Gremlins. That little old lady that came up to me. Jackie Mason. It's a Jackie Mason curse. That's what it was. 248-557-3300 if you want to call in. Give me a buzz. Let's see. So I think we're back on, right? So after September 11th, and then, I was, that little lady came up to me, and then I went to get my hair cut in Orland Park, and I'm in Orland Park, and I pull into the parking lot, and there's this white, I think it was a Ford, a white Ford parked in the parking lot where I was going to get my hair cut, and they painted on their car messages on the side and the back of the car. It said, I think one of them said, if you want jihad, Jeehod, mess with an American. They left a letter out of the word American. And then there was another saying like, you want to go to heaven or something, we'll send you there. It was like they painted it on their car. They're driving around with these messages painted on their car in the days after September 11th. It was just unbelievable, the rage and the anger. Now, obviously, you see this thing 24. I went on for 4 days, right? I'm watching. Everybody's watching. And then the worst part was watching these poor people that jumped from the building. It was horrible. And even till now, when you see that, it's going to bring you to tears. It's so painful. And it just went on. You'd watch the building collapse over, the two buildings collapse over and over and over again. And the stories about Osama bin Laden, who I had never heard of. Who is this freaking guy, Osama bin Laden? And why am I being blamed for all his, garbage? This guy's a crazy person. And then the backlash starts. September 15th, a year later, 2002. This 49-year-old turbaned Sikh, Balabar Singh Sodhi. He's not Arab, he's Sikh. He had 3 children. He was shot and killed while planting flowers at his gas station. And the guy had bragged at the guy who killed him, Frank Rock, had bragged at a local bar of his intention to kill a raghead responsible for the September 11th terrorist attack. This is a year later. And in addition to shooting the guy 3 times before driving away, Rock, the suspect who was later convicted, shot into the home of another Afghani American, and he fired his gun at 2 Lebanese gas station clerks, according to the Maricopa County Prosecutor's Office. This guy was tried and convicted for murder. Now, part of the problem was a lot of these killings, the people were prosecuted, but nobody wanted to acknowledge that they had anything to do with September 11th. Like this one with Sadhi, this guy who was a Sikh, member of the, he's a 49-year-old turbaned Sikh. He wore a big turban on his head, the way Sikhs do. And in his case, they said that it was because of September 11th. But in the cases of some of these other people, they wouldn't document the fact that the anger and the hatred had to do with September 11th. So, all right, messages here. 248-557-3300 if you want to call in, because I want to know where were you and tell me your story about September 11th. This is a horrible thing. I mean, nobody's defending September 11th that I know of, except for bin Laden's, minions who are still out there, and ISIS and Daesh, these terrorist guys. But no one in the Arab community, is doing that. There are like 15,000 Arab Americans that served during World War II with my father. There are a lot of them. They all served. They all defended this country. My dad was proud to be in. I still have his flag, the American flag, that they gave me when he passed away. They gave it to my mother. I was 16 at the time. It's like, and I have all his medals. I have his, badges and little things. I have a little piece of wood that was hanging on the section of the Fifth Army in Europe, and I think it's called the liquidation department. In other words, this is where they were liquidating their operations after World War II. They were shutting everything down, and they had to create the military is bureaucratic. They had to create a liquidation department, which now when you think of it sounds like a terrible word to use, considering that World War II had to do with the liquidation of so many human beings and the Holocaust targeting the Jewish people. So it probably wasn't a good word or a good title. Mike, I don't know if we have another ad break, or did we use that when we were trying to fix the audio?
Yeah, we got a couple more.
All right, why don't we do that? Why don't we finish and do that right now, and then we'll finish off the last 15 or 20 minutes of the show when we're done. I'm Ray Hanania. You're listening to the Arab Street Radio here on WNZK AM 690 Radio. We are broadcasting through Zoom and also on Facebook. And if you want to call in, you can call in at 248-557-3300, or find me on Facebook at RG Hanania, RGHANANIA. That's my handle on Facebook, so you'll be able to find the page and watch the show and hopefully listen to it while everything is going great. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back right after these messages.
Get ready for an amazing experience at Ishtar Restaurant on 15 Mile Road in Sterling Heights. Enjoy excellent hospitality from owners Ali Al-Baghdadi and Fatty Bonham, serving the best in Mediterranean food. Try Chef Ali Al-Baghdadi's famous shawarma, the best Iraqi grills and food, and the best Arabic and international dishes. Dine in our authentic atmosphere or take out. Call 586-698-2585 or check us out on Facebook. Ishtar Restaurant practices all CDC CDC guidelines and is open every day 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Have an amazing experience today at Ishtar Restaurant, 3625 15 Mile Road, Sterling Heights. When it comes to reproductive medicine, IVF Michigan Fertility Centers are the recognized leaders. With locations in Bloomfield Hills and 5 other cities in Michigan and Ohio, IVF has experts in all aspects of the field. As a founding member of IVF Michigan Fertility Centers, Dr. Nicholas Shama is one of the leading reproductive endocrinologists in Michigan and Ohio. Dr. Shama has performed over 10,000 IVF cases and has helped thousands of couples fulfill their dreams of parenthood. American board certified in both obstetrics and gynecology and reproductive endocrinology and infertility, Dr. Nicholas Shama is a very caring, compassionate, expert physician that understands not only the medical but also the emotional toil of infertility on his patients. When it's time, get personalized care from Dr. Nicholas Shama at IVF Michigan Fertility Centers in Michigan and Ohio. Call toll-free 855-952-9600, 855-952-9600.
And welcome back to the Arab Street Radio. I am Ray Hanania here at WNZK AM 690 radio. Our number is 248-557-3300. And you can connect with us and share your story. I know Melissa Fayed on Facebook talked about how her grandfather fought in World War I for the U.S. Army. There you go. 2 of her uncles served in the 50s and 60s, and she has cousins that are serving right now. So there are a lot of Arabs that are, we're very patriotic. We support, this country. We support everything about it. Challenging our patriotism, I know for some Americans is, just an expression of anger. When a person commits suicide, that's a problem with suicide bombers. The suicide wasn't just an Arab thing, it was the Japanese used it. A lot of people use suicide as a weapon. But with suicide, when you commit a crime, you're dead. So you're not brought to justice. They don't consider that's killing yourself justice. So you're left with this anger. You don't know how to articulate the anger because the person who committed the crime has killed himself. So these 19 hijackers that hijacked those 4 planes, killed themselves. So a lot of Americans then refocus their anger against the closest thing to look like those people. And that would be me. You can look at me on Facebook, right? I am the face of terrorism. I do have a book called I'm Glad I Look Like a Terrorist. That title, by the way, came from a longtime Chicago newspaper editor, Bernie Judge. Okay, blame him. But Bernie Judge, great guy. I was writing a collection of humor stories about growing up Arab in America, and I think my title was called Ya Habibi, which in Arabic means my love. So it was like Ya Habibi, growing up Arab in America. I wrote the essay for Chicago Magazine. They paid $4,000 back then. That's a lot of money. And now that journalism can't afford anything. And then I thought, that essay was very popular, so I'll turn it into a book. So I put a collection of stories, and I was going to run it. And Bernie Judge, the editor, he was at the Chicago Sun-Times with me at the time. He said, don't call it Ya Habibi. Nobody knows what the heck that is. Call it I'm Glad I Look Like a Terrorist, because one of the stories was a column that I wrote for the Sun-Times that talked about how I was going through O'Hare Airport. Or no, I had left O'Hare, gone to Miami. I was at Miami International Airport, walking through the airport, and security they boxed me. They put 8 agents, 2 at each corner, and they were following me and my wife at the time, and we're walking through and she's American and she was blonde, Melissa. We're walking through the airport, and I'm looking around, and I noticed these people in members-only jackets, okay? You think security, they blend in, but there were like 8 of them, 2 in each corner. They boxed me in. We're walking, carrying the bags, And I look, and I kept looking, and finally they noticed that I noticed them, like it wasn't possible to notice them. And one of the agents came up to me and he said, "Sir, would you follow me?" And I go, "What's the problem?" And he goes, "Come on, we need you. It's a security issue." So I said, "What about my wife?" She said, "Well, she's okay." I go, "Wait, what is this?" So this is like a year after September 11th. So they take me into a security room, and they have all the luggage. You know, she's outside. All our luggage is in a room now. And I think we were going to the plane. And I'm going, "Hey, I want to catch a plane back to Chicago. We just got off vacation." And, of course, I am really dark. Because even when I'm on vacation in, like, the Bahamas or the Cayman Islands or Punta Cana or Cancun, I can sit under one of those umbrellas, and no one else gets dark, but I get the reflection dark, and I still turn brown. I get so dark, people come up to me at the beach and ask me if I'll bring them a towel from the hotel, and I try to be nice, and I go, "Yeah, I'll get you a towel, I don't mind." So these FBI agents, security at the airport, they're looking for anybody that looks like a terrorist, I guess. And I'm sitting in the room, and they're ripping my bags apart. All this, I'm embarrassed because I'm bringing back all this tourist trap junk. These wood carvings and stuff that filled up my bag. It's like, electrical. There's some electrical stuff in there, camera, battery chargers, and everything like that. And then they get to my wallet, and literally they're ripping it apart. And my Chicago Sun-Times newspaper ID falls out. I think it was I can't remember when that was. This is before September 11th. I think it was like 1988 or something. And my ID for I'm a Chicago Sun-Times reporter, and they all stop. And suddenly, "Oh, we're sorry. We had to check you out." I said, "Why? What was the reason? Was there something?" And he pulls out a Polaroid picture of a terrorist-looking dude in a Panama hat and one of those what's that material they use? That double nylon, like from one of those that John Travolta movie. Like he's disco. He's it's like a guy holding a Panama hat on his head and his hands up in the air like he's dancing with John Travolta. And I said, first of all, that's ridiculous. And second of all, how do you get a terrorist to pose for a Polaroid camera picture? I said, come up with something better. If you're going to stop me next time, don't just bring up a Polaroid picture and say that I look like the guy in the Polaroid picture and that you had to stop me. That's ridiculous. This guy looks like an FBI agent who was coming home from vacation wearing crappy clothes. So I wrote a column about it. It was hilarious. It was funny. And Bernie Judge said, I was glad I looked like a terrorist because then they packed up all my stuff. They apologized. They carried it. They held the plane off. They used their communications equipment, told the plane not to take off. They had a priority person. They walked us and carried all our luggage, the FBI agents, after they packed it all up, took us to the plane, got us on the plane, bumped us up to first class, because they were worried that I was going to write a story, which I was going to write. I don't care how much champagne glasses they brought to me up there in first class. I was embarrassed because I had all my old clothes, my dirty clothes. Who washes their clothes when you're at the end of your vacation? And you got all that tourist trap junk that you buy. It's embarrassing. It looks great on your mantle, but a bag full of it at the airport, you look really goofy. So they walked me back, and I said, hey, I didn't have to go through security, obviously, for obvious reasons. They walked me through, went right in like I was some VIP. Like I was George Clooney. And, I said, hey, I'm glad I look like a terrorist. This is first-class treatment. I appreciate it. I hope you stop me every time I go through the airport. So that was the book I wrote. And I think it's over my right shoulder. Oh, here it is. There, if you're watching the Zoom or Facebook, It's over my right shoulder, which would be screen left, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, 248-557-3300 is the number if you want to call in. And I appreciate everybody on Facebook who's watching. My buddy Dave O'Connor is there. And Hassan Nijam. Yes, God bless America, buddy. Dave Astor is watching. Dave Astor, this was a great columnist. He writes a humor column. I think he used to write for editor. He wrote for Editor and Publisher magazine. Dave Astor, thank you for tuning in. What a great writer he was and is. I've never been good. Who learned me English? I know. I don't know. I couldn't. I have no idea how I got into journalism. I can't spell. My English sucks. I write the way I talk, which is about 85% accurate. Okay? So I always talk in the past tense. So I remember trying to compliment a neighbor once, and I said, "Oh, you guys used to have the best lawn care." And then the woman looked at me like, really angry look in her face. "We used to?" And I said, "No, I mean, when I lived with you, next door to you guys, I ran into her. I said, your lawn was beautiful. The landscaping was phenomenal. It still is. My husband worked like crazy on it." I said, "Hey, I wasn't criticizing you. It's just the way I talk. It is the way I talk." And I'm just trying to watch everything here on Facebook for any comments or questions, if there's any questions you want to ask. But I'm going to post this whole list of people who were killed in the weeks and months after September 11th because they looked Arab or Middle Eastern, because they've never been acknowledged. They should be acknowledged. These were victims of September 11th. They didn't get any money. They didn't get any support. They didn't even get any recognition. I'm not even sure the money is the big issue, but all the families that lost people on September 11th got money, right, from the government. But they don't consider a person who was killed in a backlash, a hate backlash, as being a victim of September 11th. And I think that's wrong, because they died specifically because of September 11th. That's specific. And listen, there's a lot of other things going on. I want to give a shout out to Marie Newman. Marie Newman won the Democratic primary in the 3rd Congressional District. I did an analysis using a New York Times survey. The New York Times went through all the congressional districts and identified the 25 congressional districts with the largest Arab American populations. And what was interesting to me is, of those 25, and there are actually 50, but they listed 25, and only 2 of them had Arab American representatives. Ilhan Omar in Minnesota and Rashida Tlaib in Michigan. They're the only 2 Arabs representing congressional districts that are among the top 25 or top 50 congressional districts with large Arab American populations. And the others were all non-Arab. And my argument is, we need to be ready to work with these non-Arab congressional members, because, first of all, we're American, right? We're part of this country. Yeah, being Arab is important to me, but being American is important to me too. So a lot of Arab Americans worked with and supported Marie Newman, even though there was a Palestinian Arab running who had no chance in hell of winning. He ran anyway, and there was always a suspicion that he did it because he was trying to, torpedo Marie Newman's chances. She had run against Dan Lipinski 2 years ago, almost won, and in this past election in March, she did win. With a very sizable, almost 3% margin, which is significant. That's not a small margin. You get 3%, that's great. That's a victory. And about this other guy, I'm not going to mention his name. He won't talk to me because I guess I didn't support him. I don't care. Arabs, we get too emotional, I think. So he spent almost $870,000 on his election, and he got 5,000 votes out of 110,000 votes. I told him at the time, you're running a crappy campaign. You don't even know how to run candidacy. I said, what's your purpose for running? Marie Newman, on the other hand, ran a phenomenal campaign. She hit all the issues. She reached out to everybody, including Arab Americans. She didn't run as an Arab American. She didn't run as whatever her ethnicity is. She ran as an American to represent everybody. And she told the American Arab community that she's going to make sure that their voices are heard. And you know what? That's all Arab American voters want. I just want my voice to be heard as an Arab American. I want you to listen. We don't have to agree. There is nobody in politics. I try to explain this to Arabs all the time. There's no one in politics where you agree 100%. It's not possible. Even in this choice between Biden and Trump, neither of them is 100%. When it comes to the Arab community, maybe Biden is more and Trump is far less. I mean, he keeps going down the tubes the way he's treating Arabs. But I think he's just angry because he was very close to the Arab community years before. And, ironically, Arabs are traditionally Republican because they're very conservative. But in Illinois, the Republicans don't really exist. I'm sorry. So Marie Newman won, and she's going to be the congressman from the 3rd District, and she's phenomenal. She's very sensitive to everybody. She's concerned about everybody. She wants to represent everybody. And, her predecessor, Dan Lipinski, he was a nice guy, but he marginalized Arabs. He didn't want to have anything to do with us. I remember going to Washington, D.C. when I was doing my comedy show in 2007, the Israeli-Palestinian comedy tour, and he wouldn't even come to see the show. I said, geez, you're my congressman. He wouldn't even come to watch the show that was being done, hosted by members of Congress. My own congressman wouldn't even be there. I said, geez, okay, Dan Lipinski. So I'm going to tell you what, it's a relief to see Marie Newman in the 3rd Congressional District. She's a progressive, centrist, moderate. She has some strong views. I know she wants to change things and stand up for what's right. So there are stories. If you go to my website at hanania.com, it's the hub where the dailyhookah.com or hanania.com, and it links to all my writings at the Arab News newspaper, at the arabdailynews.com, or at suburbanchicagoland.com. You can read all that, and you can read the columns and analysis that I've done about Arab Americans and their political potential. So listen, this was an experiment. We're going to try it. Hopefully next time we won't have any interruptions. I'm not sure if I bumped the mic. I got a great mic system, a Rode mic and a Focusrite audio mixer that I'm using connected to my MacBook Pro. Anyway, listen, check me out online at hanania.com or thedailyhookah.com, and you can check out all my writings there. I'd love to hear your comments. I want to thank everybody for watching on Facebook and everybody who's listening and watching on Zoom. And I want to thank Mike, our producer there at WNZK AM 690, for doing all the hard work and heavy lifting. You guys have a great week. And remember, fairness is the most important thing, and justice is the most important thing in the rule of law. That's more important than emotion, anger, and whatever. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you. You guys have a great week. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.